woke up, I didn't have the vacuum attached to me anymore. I didn't have that tube running in my stomach. I didn't have the tubes coming out of each kidney. You know, preparing for surgery, you can't eat or drink the night before, so Melody said, are you hungry? And this is on the way out of the hospital, are you hungry? I said, yeah, I'm really hungry. So we stopped at the cafe, the 1431 Cafe, right there in Cedar Park. Had a big old breakfast. We came home. It was Friday. I rested up Friday, and Saturday morning got on the lawnmower and mowed the grass. Yeah. I mean, I was just healed. I've had a lot of miracles in my life. I mean, I've lots of unexplained things that just happen. What, you know, it was disappointing to find out that another tumor had come back because things were going along really well, and you know, all of a sudden the doctor goes, "Oh, what's this?" And it ends up being a tumor. And the operation, the first operation, we went to the hospital, and the operation I felt was successful. Mm-hmm. Woke up in the hospital, stayed 5 days, recovered. Life was back to normal, kind of, and going along pretty well. And you know, praising the Lord the whole time, because you know, you have this operation and you want it to go well, and it did. I felt until
it didn't.
Until it didn't. So between Christmas and New Year's, the operation, the initial operation, went sideways. And what happens, not to get too graphic, but you have cancer inside your bladder, and it has to be removed. So your God-given bladder is gone. And the doctor creates a new bladder, which medically they call a conduit. And this conduit between Christmas and New Year's burst.
When it went south fast.
Very quickly, yeah. So went back to the hospital and met up with my oncologist who had done the initial operation, and there was a lot of confusion as to why his work failed, why the stitches didn't take, and this now man-made bladder was leaking. And but I had to go back into surgery, and we had another surgery, and it wasn't successful. Eventually, the doctor told me, and then I had to have a third surgery. After the second surgery didn't take, we had another third surgery, and I spent 32 days in the hospital during this period. And he couldn't even put a stitch in me because the stitches wouldn't hold. That's how inflamed I was. So I had to go home, get healthy, and he said it'd take about 3 months and we'll have another operation. When I left the hospital with a vacuum attached to me, and the hose from the vacuum went into my stomach, and it was pulling out any body fluid. Nothing was healing. The vacuum was still taking out body fluid, and the bags were still filling up. It was a mess, and the science experiment was still going on.
And we actually sat in the doctor's office preparing for this surgery, and we asked him if he believed in miracles and the power of prayer. And he said, "Yes, I do, but I don't think that's going to happen here."
Yeah. What did happen was about a week before the scheduled operation, which, by the way, was scheduled for April 1st. Yeah. Yeah, God has a sense of humor. Got there at the hospital 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was expecting to have at least a 4-hour operation, if not a 5-hour operation, and Melody was in the waiting room. When I woke up in recovery, I was greeted by the nurse who said, "Oh, good, you're awake. We'll get you dressed and send you home." What? Yeah, you're going to go home.
Well, I'm sitting in the waiting room, you know, I'm on my phone texting family, and they have a little phone in there, and they'd even called me and said he's back there. So, you know, I settled in. And I'm sitting there looking at my phone, and all of a sudden I look up and I see the two doctors standing there, and they're like little kids. And they're laughing and they're waving their hands like, "Come here, come here, come here." And they're going, "He's healed, he's healed." And the hernia doctor's going, "Your prayers were answered, prayers were answered. It's a miracle." And so they take me in the back and they start telling me that when they got in there, they couldn't see any signs. They set up like for the robotic thing, they couldn't see any signs of the leaking. His body was healed. And so, yeah, I was blown away, but what stood out to me the most was that they both acknowledged that it was the prayer that we got our miracle.
Well, the one thing we didn't get into is why was I healed April 1st? Why couldn't I have been healed?
I still just
Back
think it
in
was part of the
December?
journey. It was just part of the journey for us.
Yeah, why couldn't I have been healed in December or January or February?
He would ask these, and I'm like, I
But-
don't know.
But my rationalization was, or is that I wasn't ready to be healed. Could have been for the benefit of the doctors. That one doctor, maybe he needed to see the healing. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know miracles happen every day, every single day. And thank God that He's with us. I don't know what I would do without God in our life.